want to spend the last decade of your life? On the left, yes, exactly. According to the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, the average American, or the average life expectancy is 77.9 years. As a rule, 66.2 years tend to be healthy years, healthy, unimpaired. You know, in other words, 11.7 years is going to be spent in disease and impairment. The last 10 years. According to the American Academy of Family Physicians, diet is the single most significant risk factor for premature death and disability. Folks, that means that we all have something to do about the trajectory of our last 11.7 years or the last decade of our life. Now, in his book, How Not to Die, Dr. Michael Greger showed how American diets are directly associated with the top 15 disease-related deaths in our country. The top 15 leading causes of premature death, are heart disease, diabetes, cancer, Parkinson's, high blood pressure, and several more. Now, these aren't strange diseases. They aren't something that we haven't heard of before. These are diseases that are very common in our everyday world. Now, in Dr. Greger's book, he also shows strong scientific evidence that foods we eat can help prevent or fight these daily diseases. So what is this diet that we're eating that is causing so many diseases in our nation? Well, it's known as the Standard American Diet, or SAD is the acronym. And when you look at this, it is very, very sad. 51% of our food is processed or highly processed. 42% is animal products. And we know that animal products cause inflammation in our body, and inflammation leads to diseases. The good news is 7% is fruits and vegetables, what we should be consuming on a regular basis. However, 50% of our fruits and vegetables come from French fries and ketchup. Now, folks, this is nothing to be bragging about, okay? And one more thing that we have to say about our SAD diet. Our SAD diet comes with a Surgeon General's caution. And that caution is that the standard American diet causes approximately 2/3 of all deaths due to disease in America. Dr. Greger's book talked about the top 15 causes. And yes, our SAD diet is killing us. And we're not alone, unfortunately, because our American diet is known as the Western diet, and it has literally spread around the globe. According to the World Health Organization, they're called WHO, that acronym, they did a global burden of death study, and the results were published in a prestigious journal called The Lancet. And this was in April 2019. And worldwide, poor diets were associated with 11 million excess deaths. 11 million. Now, we know heart disease globally kills the most people. 9.5 million a few years back. But poor diet surpassed heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and combined All three of those combined, poor diet exceeded it. So, how can we change the trajectory of our lives? Let's look at our diet. The Global Burden of Death study showed that if we make small changes, we're going to make a big difference. If we reduce sodium in our diet, the normal American exceeds 4,000 milligrams of sodium a day. It is recommended 1,500 or less. If we increase whole grains, fruit intake, if we increase our nuts and seeds, our veggies, and our intake of fiber, we have to increase our fiber. So tonight we're going to talk to you about adding more plants to your plate. But before we begin, I want to introduce to you somebody who did add more plants to her plate. And this is Hope Kent. And Hope is a retired Army captain. She was in the National Guard. And she received a very rude wake-up call. And she's here to tell us about that. Please welcome Hope Kent.
Thanks, Debbie. I'm here to share with you the thrilling saga of my health weight journey. My adventure began about 50 years ago with my first attempt at dieting on Weight Watchers. I decided to join the Army after high school, and to be honest, I needed to shed a few pounds. Well, by the time I joined the Army, I was on a 4-pound waiver. That means I was 4 pounds overweight the day I joined. Apparently, they couldn't get a waiver for my love of cheesecake, but that was the day I joined the Fat Whack Club. Women were called WACs, Women's Army Corps. In my 21 years in the Army, I only managed to weigh in twice without also having to get taped, pinched, or made to jump up and down and do jumping jacks. This was the Army's way of finding out what our BMI was, body mass index. Mine was too high, always, and I was destined to remain in the Fat Whack program my entire military career. During those years, I explored every diet imaginable. Legitimate diets like Weight Watchers, the Mediterranean diet, little illegitimate ones like Fen-Phen, Fen-Phen grapefruit diet, and my very own creation was the TCBY yogurt diet. I thought I had found the holy grail of weight loss. I could eat a quart of frozen yogurt every night for supper, and I lost weight. The fact that I was essentially treating sugar as a food group was of no consequence to me back then. Not so much anymore. In my years on this earth, I've learned many things. One of them is the best defense is a good offense. In other words, if you can't beat them, make sure they're too busy trying to figure out what's going on with you to notice what you're really up to. Fast forward to 2020, when I had just completed my 65th annual physical. When the nurse was checking my vitals, I explained to her that if she would check my blood pressure before checking my weight, my blood pressure wouldn't be so high. And then I went to see the doctor, and I would start off with, besides my weight, how are my numbers? Well, the numbers on that particular day were devastating. I weighed almost 250 pounds. And I had the kind of health stats that doctors usually talked about in a whisper, because they were so bad. Not surprisingly, I was pre-diabetic, morbidly obese. I had high blood pressure. In addition, I had high cholesterol, sleep apnea, and restless leg syndrome. My health list was longer than my grocery list. I was being treated for everything from low thyroid, high blood pressure, chronic inflammation, allergies, depression, hey, if you had my numbers, you'd be depressed too. Oh, let's not forget the low self-esteem that just automatically comes with that package. It was time for a change. It was time to call in the reinforcements, my sisters. My sweet sisters had been gently and not so gently talking to me about my A1C for years. Honest to God, I had no idea what hemoglobin A1C meant. But they enlightened me. That day, as I was leaving the doctor's office, I called my sister Debbie. And Debbie, for the ones of you that don't know her, is a health coach, lifestyle coach. And before the call was over, I had unknowingly signed up for the role of her latest project. I don't know how the project came about. I felt like a victim. Under Debbie's firm but loving coaching, I embarked on my plant-based journey. I was the person raised on beef, chicken, pork, and what was I going to enjoy on a plant-based diet? Well, a plant-based diet is actually pretty simple. You stay away from processed foods and you only eat things that don't come with eyes, except potatoes. Potatoes have eyes, but they're the little loophole in this plant-based system because they're not these eyes. Anyway, steaks, they come from a cow, they have eyes. Ice cream comes from cows, they have eyes. But potatoes, no eyes. I could eat potatoes. The hardest part for me was being addicted to sugar and fat, and it really is an addiction. There were times when Debbie wanted to fire me, but too bad, I'm family, and she had to tolerate me because I would have tattled to my mom faster than you can pronounce tofu. Some changes were easier than others. Giving up meat was pretty simple until somebody mentioned steak. And cheese, that's a no-brainer until somebody waved a plate of mozzarella sticks at me and, it was like a siren's call. Eat me, eat me. It took me 4 years to prove that alcohol and weight loss don't go together. I'm still trying to figure out how long it's going to take me to convince myself to stick to an exercise routine. I don't like it. But I had plenty of challenges along the way. My brother-in-law, Kenny, thought boot camp would be a great idea. Apparently, he misunderstood the word vacation and what that meant. I was forced to exercise, eat healthy food, and I whined the entire time. And they ignored my whining and crying and told me, suck it up, buttercup. But through the whining and crying, I lost 5 pounds that first week. I also gained a new taste for fresh garbanzos. They're not half bad. They're not French fries, but they're pretty good. When I retired from the Army, I swore I'd never run again. I eventually joined the Fayetteville Running Club so I could hang out with my son while he ran and I walked. Like a champion, I can walk. During a 5K on one particularly hot June, I was dead last. Everyone was at the finish line cheering me on, Rah, come on, you can do it. As I lumbered across towards the finish line, I thought, why not give it a try and run the last 100 feet? It wasn't that far. Spoiler alert, they put the medal around my neck and I promptly threw up. That, my friends, was my final lesson in running. Walking is my speed. These days, I've embraced the art of cooking tasty and nutritious food. I even signed up for Forks Over Knives cooking program, which I'll begin as soon as I get back home. I figure if I'm going to keep making these changes, I might as well learn how to make a really mean veggie burger while I'm at it. Slide 4, please. So here's to the plant-based journey. I've lost almost 80 pounds. My A1C is down to 5.6, which, if you know, it's a good number. And my blood pressure is almost normal. Almost all of my devastating numbers from 4 years ago are back to normal. It has not always been easy, but at least I know I'll never go hungry for a good food story along the way. Thank you.
Thank you. So yes, that is my sister. So now it is my privilege to introduce to you Dr. Kathy Thornhill, who has been an educator from as long as I can remember. She started off in Polk County as a teacher. She became a principal, and then she retired from the school board as the deputy superintendent. And she did not retire, just like me, she did not know what retirement meant, because then she started promoting whole food, plant-based nutrition. And she's been my mentor for the last 10 years. So please help me welcome Kathy Thornhill.
Oh my gosh, look at all these people. This is so exciting, isn't it? Well, we have got the best journey, the best testimonial coming up on video. So how about if you play that while Cindy comes on up? Should be on the screen.
It began as an experiment and turned into my joy journey. My first encounter with Chat and Chew was a grocery store tour at Publix. Many of my friends were joining, and I wanted to know what all of the excitement was about. When I heard Nan tell me about her lower blood pressure and her weight loss, I was impressed for her. But would it work for me? I took my blood pressure that day, and it was high. Again, and I was on medication. To make matters worse, I had gained 10 pounds in just 1 month. I decided to do an experiment. I would try this way of eating for 21 days. It seemed pretty radical to me, and I do not believe in depriving myself. No dairy, meat, chicken, fish, or eggs. I told no one I was doing this. I was discouraged enough and did not need anyone's negativity permeating my possible positive results. 2 weeks later, I had my blood work done. My cholesterol had gone from 208 to 179. Dr. Shaw was very pleased and said if I kept on eating this way, I could get off my blood pressure medication. Heart disease runs rampant in my family, and I had been told I would need these pills to avoid a heart attack. I listened to my doctor and got off the blood pressure pills. Shortly after, I stopped taking the antidepressants I had been on for 20 years. I no longer needed my pain pills for inflammation. My life has been a series of lessons and some adventures. Now, because of Chat and Chew, my life has turned into my joy journey. For one thing, I don't stress about my weight and what I'm eating anymore. Once, I bought 12 enormous chocolate chip cookies for my family's dessert. My family never saw them. I was disgusted with myself. I am learning to reverse my thinking about food. Depriving myself of health and joy by eating things that aren't good for me is no longer attractive to me. Now I know I am pampering myself when I eat my happy food, beautiful vegetables, fruits, grains, and legumes. I was always desperately searching for something, and it always seemed out of reach for me. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get a grasp on happiness. Who knew it would start from living a whole foods, plant-based lifestyle? One great thing leads to another. Steve, my husband, now has joined me with plant-based eating. We are paying off our debts to give us more freedom and joy. we started decluttering our home to give us more space for only things that give us joy. Thank you, Chat and Chew, for giving me a life I could never have imagined.
So that's a pretty good joy journey, wasn't it? Yeah. I bet there's some other people in this room that could raise their hand to a joy journey. Have you had one? Anybody in here? All right. Oh, I wish we could go around with a mic and ask each of you, because they're so powerful. But I've got to know, what happy food is your favorite now, Cindy?
Well, I thought about it, and there's two. I can't say one's better than the other. I love Hannah yams. They're little white sweet potatoes. And I adore Hawaiian sweet potatoes. Now, I have to say I do both because I eat them both at the same time. I can't eat one without the other. So I couldn't just pick one. Those are my favorite happy foods this year. Could change next year.
And does anybody know what Hawaiian sweet potatoes look like? Oh, tell them what they look like.
Oh, they're beautiful. You can go. I only know of one place in Polk County that sells them. There might be a place in Lakeland. I don't know for sure. They're white on the outside, kind of like cream color, and then they're purple on the inside. But what you got to do is you got to put your oven on really high, and then you make big slits with your paring knife so all that really sweet stuff comes out and it turns into candy. That's my sweet tooth. And then the crust gets all crunchy. That's how you got to cook them. And then the Hannah yams exactly the same way. And if you put them neck to neck together and you take a bite of the white and a bite of the purple, oh, it's just like being in heaven. You got to try it, I promise. Two Plaza in Winter Haven.
Did you hear the name of that?
Two Plaza in Winter Haven. Yeah. That's where I get them.
Okay. Cindy, thank you so much for sharing. That was fantastic. Let's hear it from Cindy. Okay, well, we're almost time to have our star presenter, Jane Esselstyn, but before that, we need to hear from our title sponsor, Lakeland Regional Health. We couldn't have done this without them and our other sponsors. So today we have with us Michelle Crawford, and she's the Employee and Wellness Manager at LRH.
Hello, good evening, everyone. On behalf of Lakeland Regional Health, thank you so much for being here tonight to explore how food can transform your life. Let's face it, the best healthcare is the kind that you never need. And as much as we love caring for you, if you ever do need it, our goal is actually to keep you out of our hospital and living your best life. So as we've heard, diet is the #1 cause of early death and disability. What you put on your plate has more impact on your health than genetics, exercise, or even that yearly checkup you've been avoiding. So how are we doing here in Polk County? I have some stats I'm going to share with you guys. So I've got some bad news. More than 1 in 3 adults here are living with obesity, and that rate is higher than both the state and the national averages, with heart disease and diabetes, which are 2 preventable and reversible diet-related conditions, as our leading causes of death. The worst news is that even though we're blessed to be the birthplace of our beloved Publix here in Lakeland, many Polk residents still struggle with access to fresh, healthy food, making fast food and processed meals the default. And then the really depressing news is that we know that there are parts of the world, people in parts of the world that are eating more plant-centered diets, and they're living longer, healthier lives, while we're over here counting French fries as vegetables. So don't despair, there's good news too. Small changes like adding whole grains, legumes, fruits, vegetables, mushrooms, nuts, and seeds to our meals can save lives. Research has proven that diets rich in plant-based foods can lower the risk of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer while extending lifespan, a delicious and side effect-free treatment option. I know this because I've lived it. Growing up on a traditional Southern diet, which I think of as the so sad diet, my family faced heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. Nearly 10 years ago, I switched to a whole food plant-based diet. I lost 30 pounds, I normalized my cholesterol, and I got off all my medications. Now I make it my mission to share this empowering message of hope and healing with you, my beloved community. Eating this way is not about giving up the food that you love. It's discovering all the foods you never knew you could love, like Cindy just gave us that great example. And that's what's so wonderful about Jane's work and tonight's program. We're going to discover how food that's great for us can taste great too. Together, let's make Polk County a place known not just for juicy citrus and beautiful lakes, but for our thriving, vibrant health and community of plant-based wellness warriors. Now, I'm thrilled to introduce two trailblazers in plant-based nutrition, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn and his wife, Ann. Dr. Esselstyn's groundbreaking work has shown that a plant-based diet can reverse heart disease. And Ann is a culinary expert, making healthy eating accessible and enjoyable. They're also the proud parents of tonight's speaker, Jane Esselstyn. Though they couldn't join us in person, they prepared a brief message to inspire us. So let's hear from them now.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Esselstyn.
And I'm Ann Esselstyn.
We are absolutely delighted to be with such an energetic group focused on the health through whole food plant-based nutrition. I can't believe what an exciting 2025 has been kicked off by this group.
And we are literally blown away by the Florida Trailblazers. You are setting the pace for the world. Carry on. We wish we were there.
Bye-bye.
Have a wonderful event today.
We do appreciate the Lakeland Regional Health for improving lives by doing things like encouraging wellness and education and discovery. Thank you so much for that introduction of the Esselstyns. And I bet you heard of Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn. Raise your hand if you've heard of him. Oh my gosh, look at all these people. Now, keep the hand up. Now, if he's had an impact in his research on your life, two hands. Oh my God. Oh, I wish he was here to see it. You know, he's had an impact not just on your lives and more throughout the United States, but he's also had an impact on the family, his family. Back in the 1980s, he would come home from the hospital and where he was doing research at Cleveland Clinic, and he said, you know, we're not going to be able to have any more dairy. It's just not going to work. And poor Ann, and here's my plate. What am I going to put on it? And she figured it out. And she had nobody who, like we do, knows how to eat whole food plant-based. So the family came along, and so did the children, and they came along too. And now, and I forgot to double check this with Jane, but I understand there's 20 Esselstyns and they're all plant-based. And today, those 20 Esselstyns, there's going to be one in this room, and that's Jane Esselstyn. Aren't you excited? This is going to be so exciting. Jane is, in her youth, like her father, she was a swimmer and a rower, and she was recruited nationally, and she went to University of Michigan. Wow. And she swam there, competed there, and she earned her BS in nursing from Kent State University. And today, when she's not busy doing the Esselstyn Foundation work, the group that is helping sponsor tonight and gave us the idea of kale blazers. I can't say it now. How do you say it? Kale blazers. She does other things, like she does a YouTube channel. Who's seen Jane's YouTube channel? Jane and Ann Esselstyn. All right. She also does a Well Now camp. Have you heard of that? That comes in June. Well Now. And what about her March conference that she has for women? Has anybody seen that? Oh, I have to tell you about it. I just heard about it in the car here tonight, and I'm going to pull it up because she's having it in honor of the International, let me pull that up, the International Day of the Woman. It's about time, isn't it? Yes. Let's get a yes to that. And what's so exciting is this is her 10th annual conference, so she's doing 10 aspects of it. And these are some of the people that are going to be there, the 10 and one more. Dr. Dawn Musalem. Does anybody remember her from the Chat and Chew YouTube channel and the Zoom? Yeah. Dr. Monica Agarwal from the University of Florida. I see some heads. Dr. Kristie Funk, who does breast cancer. I'm so excited I'm losing my breath. Dr. Caldwell B. Esselstyn Jr. will be on this Zoom as well. Dr. Ann Bingham, Dr. Elizabeth Winings, Polly LaBar, and Ann Esselstyn and Jane Esselstyn for the 10th annual, and you. And at that time, it will be on the internet for you to sign up March the 8th. So take a look at your handout. We'll get more to that at the end, but I wanted to be sure you knew about that. So Jane, with her charisma, is coming now to give us an on-ramp to whole food plant-based. Let's hear it for Jane.
Thank you. Thank you for dancing with me a little bit. It wakes me up so that I can be on, and it wakes you guys up a little bit too. So I'm going to hop right to it. And when when the Florida Kale Blazers got in touch with me, yoo-hoo! Yeah, I'm going to take off my clogs. I feel kind of tall. When they got in touch with me to present it to you guys, I was like, awesome, what do you want to do? So today we're going to talk about the benefits of plant-based eating above the belt. If you invite me back, we'll go below the belt. Is that fair? Is that fair? Okay, I'm trying to lure myself back here, you see. Okay, everyone's like, oh my God, I want to be an Esselstyn. Can I be part of your family? And I'm like, you don't really probably want to be, because if you look at our family tree, it's up here. And you can see what I have here is I have my grandparents and my aunts and uncles. And I had a grandfather with type 2 diabetes, prostate cancer, and heart disease, and his first heart attack of many was at 52, and actually 42. And another grandmother with breast cancer and heart disease, so much cholesterol that she had deposits of cholesterol on her eyelids. Have you ever seen those on people? They're like little waxy, yeah, there you go. It doesn't know where to live because there's just so much floating around the blood, so it deposits itself in wacky places. Another grandfather with heart disease, stroke, colon cancer, lung cancer, prostate cancer, son of the guy that founded the Cleveland Clinic. And then two uncles with pancreatic cancer, two with prostate cancer, an aunt with brain cancer, and another aunt with ovarian cancer. Anybody want to join my family? But my parents are 90 and 91, as you just saw, and they're on no lifestyle medication. This is actually 3 years ago. But they're on no lifestyle medication, which is, I'm so glad you didn't clap. I'm so glad, don't you dare, because that's how it's supposed to be. We're not, yes. You should be like, yeah, way to go, Ann Essie. No medication, that's normal, totally normal. So they have helped the 20 of us in our family to all embrace a whole food plant-based diet. And they've done a great job indoctrinating all of us. I'm not sure what they put in the oats, but we all are lapping it up. And none of us are on lifestyle-related disease medications, which is great. We take vitamin D, we take B12, and some people have other medications to help with their mental health, but that's absolutely their prerogative. So what I want to talk with you about tonight, here we are at my parents' 60th wedding anniversary. We look like we're making gang signs. We're not. We're trying to write 60. Write 60 with your hands for me. Write 60. Let me see you guys. Yeah, you look, like for a photograph. It looks really weird. You look like you're doing some sort of, I don't even know. So that's what we're all doing. And we're on top of this huge hill. We all went up there and celebrated. It was wonderful. So I want to talk to you guys tonight about some people who really want to empower you to be the locus of control, not pills, not procedures, not scans and blood draws and appointments and none of that stuff. They want you to be the locus of control with information. They're not trying to sell you a pouch of anything, it's powders, a plan, books maybe so you can have the information. But that's it. The first person I want to start with is Dr. Neil Barnard. Do you guys know Dr. Neil Barnard? Oh, I know. Isn't he the best? I always say I have this like non-sexual crush on him because he's just so kind and so thoughtful and so informative, and he has the same jawline as my husband. And anyway, so he is just wonderful, and the way he taught this book, Dr. Neil Barnard's program for reversing diabetes, when I read the first 40 pages, I could see what he was talking about. And I teach middle school health, so I have to act out all kinds of stuff with these middle school kids. I don't, only a little bit. I don't teach it like regularly. They insert me here and there. I mostly just do the sex ed stuff. But anyway, that's why I want to go below the belt with you guys. This is what I do. But the way he talked about it, I could see it. And so I ran out to my parents' house, and I was like, Mommy. I still call her Mommy. Look how he describes this. And I performed what I was envisioning, and she was like, Jane, I'm embarrassed. I've been talking about diabetes for just decades with Essie, and I never know what I'm talking about, but I just say what he says, and now I see why. So if my mom needed some understanding, I'm going to share it with you guys. And if you've already seen me do this, just bear with me. We'll get to other stuff. Okay, so this is obviously a blood vessel, and we're cutting it open for your viewing pleasure. And it's this beautiful silky lining. We'll get to the name of that in a bit. Shout it out if you know it. Endothelia, yes. Okay, so we're talking about diabetes, and when we're talking about diabetes, what molecule flowing through the blood are we thinking about? We're thinking mostly about blood. Say it. Blood sugar, exactly. Blood sugar is also called blood glucose or glucose. So when I say those words, I mean the same thing. Blood glucose, blood sugar. So let's talk about let's pretend no one in here has type 1 or type 2 or any kind of metabolic syndrome or prediabetes or anything. Okay, everyone just here works within normal limits, as we say in the clinical setting. So we all eat food. Chomp, chomp, chomp. It breaks down in our belly. I teach middle school. You have to be dramatic to keep their attention. And it breaks down to a bazillion things, but we're focusing right now on the blood. Yes, exactly. So the blood sugar is flowing through the bloodstream, and you guys know where it's trying to get to? It's trying to get into our cells, exactly. The cells and muscles use glucose, and our brain. The only thing your brain eats or uses is glucose. Tell your paleo friends that's it. That's the way Mother Nature designed it. Okay, so these blood glucose molecules are trying to get into our cells so we can stay awake for the whole lecture, dance a little bit beforehand, drive home awake, yeah. All those things that are normal, okay? And to feel good about it and have energy. So how does the blood sugar get into the cells? Does it just flow in and there you go? Could you imagine Halloween, kids would be like, I mean, they already are kind of exploding with all that candy and sugar, but it has to be transported. Do you guys know the molecule that transports glucose into the cells? Insulin. Yes! Insulin! Insulin! Hey, I heard you just had a meal. Let's load up and take it over to the cells. So loads up, beep, beep, beep. Here we go. And then right here, on the back of every insulin molecule is this amazing docking mechanism that connects right onto it's a receptor, connects onto right here onto the receptor of the cell, and they click on, kind of like a phone into the phone charger, a USB cord into your computer, a plug into the wall. I'll go below the belt next time I'm invited here, okay? So this engages, plugs right in, beep, drops it off. Drops it off. Beep, 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 plugs in, docks on, drops off. Okay, you guys, what does the blood sugar level look like now? It's gone down. There's still some blood sugar. They're still doing fine, but it's gone down. And the blood sugar's in the cells. And they have energy, like I said, to dance, talk, stay awake, do some cartwheels, hang out, run, You feel good. How your body is meant to work, how it's wired, how it's created. So that's within normal limits. That's all of us here who function as we were, how we were born, how we were meant to work. So let's talk quickly about people who have type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is very different than type 2 diabetes. I wish it had a completely different name. Like, I'm so sorry you got this autoimmune disease when you were 8 years old disease. But that's way too long. Okay, so people with type 1 diabetes eat food, chomp, 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 breaks down their belly, blood glucose goes flowing through their bloodstream. But people who have type 1 diabetes don't make something. What do they not make? Right, they don't make trucks. They don't make trucks. So, luckily, I always, at this point in my talk, wish I knew the name of the person who invented or created insulin that was refrigerated, that can be injected, because that person has saved so many lives. You need to get insulin so that you can literally get this glucose into your muscles and your brain so you can survive. And thank goodness for the pumps and the injections we have. So, that's type 1 diabetes. Now, do you guys know there's another kind of type of diabetes that's now called type 2 diabetes? What was it previously called? Anybody know? What was it previously named? Yes, adult onset diabetes. Do you know why it was called that? It used to only happen to adults, exactly. It took time for this buildup of stuff to happen. But not anymore. So, the reason we had to change the title is that it was happening to people who were under the age of 18, and it's so sad how this hyper-palatable, ultra-processed food has really gotten us into a pickle. We wish it was a pickle. A pickle would be healthy, actually. It's gotten us into a quagmire. Okay, so people with type 2 diabetes eat food, chomp, 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 breaks down in their belly, glucose goes flowing through their blood. They make glucose. That's not the issue. Do you see how that's completely different than type 1 diabetes? Type 1, they don't even have this. Type 2, they do. They do. Until after a while, the lipotoxicity could kill off that part of the pancreas, but they make glucose. Glucose says, hey, let's go pick up all that glucose and take it over to the cells. And we're going to back it on up and dock on beep, 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 and we're going to drop it off and beep, 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 drop it off, beep, 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 drop it off, beep, drop it off. Okay. You guys, look at the blood sugar level, the blood glucose. How does it look? It's still high. These cells have become insulin resistant, exactly. So what's causing it? Is it the sugar's problem? Is that causing it? No more fruit? Nope. Is that the issue? No, not at all. The issue is here. One of the two big words I'm using tonight. It's called intramyocellular lipid. Intra, within, myo, muscular, cellular, lipid, fat. Some of us are really good at doing certain things physiologically. In my family, if you live past like 30 years old, your hair goes lightning colored. We're so good at that. We got it down. Some people are really good at collecting intramyocellular lipids on their cells here, so that the insulin can't dock on and drop things off. Somebody who doesn't look like they have diabetes might have it because this is happening in their body. I looked like I was a grandmother when I was 32. All right, so we just have different things. So let's just drill down on what this is specifically. Specifically, intramyocellular lipids. This is any oil you add to your food. So I'm talking like olive oil, virgin olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, canola oil, oil in dressings, oil added to any foods. Do you know what I'm talking about here? Like oil, oil that you would cook in, any kind of, just adding oil. I'm not saying this is a no-fat diet. Oats are loaded with fat. Broccoli has 16% fat or something. There's fat in every food, and Mother Nature got it right. So much water, so much fiber, some fat, some vitamins, some minerals, some flavor, cha-cha-cha. Got it right. But taking all this corn and reducing it to corn oil, all this corn, reducing it to corn syrup, is not the way we're meant to do it. Our body does not know what to do with it. It starts depositing things in our eyelids, like cholesterol deposits. So, oil, olive oil, canola oil, peanut oil, any kind of oil. Any kind of oil. Oil is oil is oil. Okay, so oil in a pan, oil in dishes. Okay, I'm going to stop with all the oil. You guys got that. And this is then dairy. Dairy meaning anything from a cow's udder or a goat's udder or another mammal's udder. The mammal that most matches humans when you're a human who's lactating, the percentage of fat, protein, carbohydrate, water, what mammal has the exact match to that pretty much? Not a pig, not a goat, we wish it was a goat. Think small. Rat, exactly. 2 points over there. So, rat, I'm talking dairy, any kind of dairy, cow, goat, or rat, okay? This is milk, this is cheese, butter, ice cream, yogurt, Greek yogurt, virgin Greek yogurt, custard, cream, sour cream, cream cheese, dairy, 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 dairy. We all have friends who are lactose intolerant, and they do have fine, healthy lives without dairy. It's fine. And that's all we're asking here. I'm going to also say eggs right here, because for some reason people think eggs are dairy. Eggs come out of a chicken back here, and dairy comes out of a cow up here. So I don't know how they confuse that, but somehow eggs are considered dairy. And I'm just going to say, very different scene. This is then meat. And meat, it's got so much saturated fat within the flesh and meat itself. Even like our bodies, we have our muscles are marbled with some fat. So we're talking about, I'm not good at all the meat because I don't know it all, but I'm chicken and turkey and pork and trout and cows, beef and lamb, salmon, fish, mussels, shrimp. Did I ever say shrimp? Sorry. And eggs, if for some reason you didn't catch eggs, or eggs. It's just chicken, not yet born as a chicken. Then it's the worst part is the yellow part. Oh, some of my students come in and say, oh, I had 2 eggs for breakfast. And I was like, oh, that has more cholesterol than a Big Mac or 2. And they're like, no, it's like eating a little yellow chicken. I'm like, no. The white part is actually the chicken, and it has to eat this little ball of 100% cholesterol to build itself. It's a building block. It's 100% fat cholesterol, because every single cell in our bodies has 2x4s made of cholesterol. Our liver makes cholesterol. That's why our cholesterol levels aren't 0. Like, we're like, oh yeah, my cholesterol is 150, 160, 120, 180, 200, whatever your cholesterol is, it's not nothing. You need it. The hormones that make you biologically male, female, those hormones are, the backbone is cholesterol, and then it's testosterone or estrogen. We need it. We make it. Our liver is doing us a favor. So, back to the chicken, the yolk, the egg. Loaded with cholesterol there, that little building block. Okay, so no oil, no dairy, no meat. And then this, I think sometimes this is the hardest category for those of us here. Those of us whole food, plant-based, we've eaten the oats, we've drinking the seltzer water. This is plant-based frankenfoods, meaning Impossible Burgers, Beyond Burgers, Luna bars, come on, reveal thyself, tortilla chips. Let's hear it. Beyond Burgers, did I say that? I'm sorry, Beyond, Impossible Burgers, what? Oreos are vegan, that's right. We are not vegan. We are whole food, plant-based. I love that, thank you. Thank you. I swear, I would leave my husband for a jar of Nutella. I would, in a heartbeat, but I can't get myself to get it. And things in bags that crinkle because there's so much oil in them that they wouldn't put them in paper bags on the shelf because they would just be like flammable. Seriously, like they would just, have you ever torched like a greasy bag? It's just, I mean, one of my brother Rip, the firefighter, he's like, yeah, if you ever get stuck on a mountain or something, you can just take a bag of Cheetos and light a fire with them. And I'm like, gross. I would never be hiking with Cheetos. And he's like, oh, we just learned it in the fire academy. And I was like, that's just so wrong. This, like we think that like the field roast, like all these little like burgers and dogs and things that are vegan are gonna make our life easier. It's not that hard to make a veggie burger with oats, beans, and a sweet potato or rice in equal measure. All right, so if one gets rid of all this stuff, takes the oil out, the dairy, the meat, and the processed foods, it's amazing what happens. This is like hair in the shower drain. You pull it out and all of a sudden, you've all seen that happen. The water goes right where it was supposed to go. How it was all built, designed by the shower gods. And you don't need to move the house. You don't need to like get some medication on the floor of the shower whenever you use it or go to a different shower. No, just get it out of the drain. Pretty easy to do. Or like those of you, I live where there's there's trees here. Sorry, that didn't sound right. But do you have a gutter on your house, anybody? Yeah. We have gutters because it catches leaves, and then you have to clear a gutter out, or else it just becomes totally full of leaves, and then it snows and the ice. And I mean, I left Cleveland at 22 degrees in a snowstorm of lake effect snow off of Lake Erie. I barely made my flight. I'm so glad I'm here. But anyway, if you don't clear the gutter of leaves, it gets this backup, buildup, and your house can literally break just like this. If you don't get the leaves out of the gutter, it breaks. So if you get all that out of the way, before you know it, your numbers are completely normalizing because I'm gonna try that again, because the insulin can drop it off, and so your numbers start to come down. And so if you're on medication, don't jump off of it until you've ratcheted. Here's medication, here's your diet. As more compliant you get on your diet, your medication can come down. But it's this sweet spot of switching that. Don't go, oh, duh. No, your body is not ready. Your cells aren't that cleared off yet. It will happen, but it has to be in communication with whoever's giving you medication. Your nurse practitioner, your doctor, not your neighbor. Okay. All right, do you guys all understand this now? Yes. Okay, yeah. It is so exciting because those of you, some of you guys have been to some of our immersions or our camps, and what happens in just 3 days at our immersions when we have people come? They come for dinner on day 1. Day 2, full day, we do lectures, they eat all of our food, they're in jail with us. Day 3 is when we say, okay, bodies on the ground. Bodies on the ground. Because people normalize in that little amount of time that they start to, their blood pressure, medication's overworking, and they just, we're mostly scared of them chipping a tooth or not getting knocked out and having to go home. We're thrilled their numbers are going down, but we're scared about them getting injured from eating well. How wacky is that disconnect? Like, please let us know if you're not feeling, if you're dizzy, because we don't want you to chip a tooth at our health immersion. It is so crazy how normalizing it is in that little time. But it is also just so inspiring. Okay. We'll talk here now about, have you guys all heard of Colin Campbell? All right, so yes, a lot of you have heard of him. I'm going to bore you with my little middle school performative version of the China study. This is like Dr. Seuss's version of the China study. The China study is an amazing book. Who has made it through the China study? Okay, it's a rigorous read. He's like the Albert Einstein of nutrition. He talks for so long about how he did the study, why he did the study, the setting up of the study. And you're like, let's get to the study. Colin Campbell is a great friend of our family, and I always refuse to do this part of my talk whenever he's in the audience, because I'm like, Colin, are you kidding me? So anyway, here we go. The way he talks about nutrition is so inspiring, because his research at Cornell was to look at what is the perfect food for humans. And he, much like Neil Barnard, who I just talked about, Dr. Neil Barnard was raised on a Dakota beef ranch. Colin Campbell grew up on a dairy farm. So when he got to Cornell, he was like, oh, the perfect food for humans is milk. And he was trying to create the best milk. But the research was pulling him towards all this, what's happening over here? And he decided to look at it, and it was this correlation of cancer with all this protein. So anyway, he decided to look at it. And what he did is this is chapter 3, sit on the floor of the bookstore and read this chapter. It'll just blow you away. I think my dad's chapter 5, whatever. Read this thing about Colin, Dr. Campbell. So what he did is he took a population of rats and he injected them with aflatoxin. So in other words, in the right environment, like the first quote that was just up there, in the right environment, it would promote growth of tumors. We all have little cells that go a little haywire in our body all the time. You know, you get like a skin tag. You got things going, your pancreas can get skin tags. I mean, we have all kinds of stuff happening in our body. I was awake from my colonoscopy the other day. Wow. Try that sometime, you guys. That is cool. It's like a moonscape in there. It's so cool. Anyway, back to this. So we all make little tumors. We all make little things, but promoting the growth of that is what we want to prevent. So his research with this population of rats was fascinating, because he took these rats, injected them with aflatoxin, so they're ready to grow tumors in the right environment, they're ready to go. And his first population of rats, he fed them, here's my line in the sand right here in the middle. He fed this population of rats 5% animal protein. Guess what happened? Nothing. He increased this to 20% animal protein, similar to the standard American diet. Guess what happened? 100% of the rats got cancer. Rats live for about almost 2 years, 20 or so months. So they all got cancer. And Colin Campbell, such a smart guy, he said, let's look at the type of protein. So what type of protein is this? Plant-based. No, don't you love that color? So we're on the other side of the line here. Took the population of rats, injected with aflatoxin, fed them 5% plant protein. Guess what happened? Nothing happened to them. He increased it to 20% plant protein. Guess what happened? Nothing. 100% tumor growth with 20% animal product. Zero growth of tumors. No promotion of tumor growth with a 20% plant diet. Is this statistically significant? Yes. Yes. Frighteningly so. So what he did, he crossed the line. He took these rats growing tumors, crossed the line, fed them a plant-based diet, and guess what happened? He turned off the cancer, turned it back on, turned it off, turned it on. Did it to these folks, these rats too. Crossed the line, fed them the diet of animal protein. You know what kind of animal protein it was? Thank you, say it louder. Casein, which is it's the protein in dairy. Casein, not like casing wrapping. A friend of mine went to get cheese without wrapping on it because she thought it was the casing on the wrapping. I'm like, no. It's like C-A-E-S-I-N, not C-A-S-I-N-G, or however you spell casing. Anyway, so these rats got tumors, turned them off. It's a hockey stick graph. Not much happens when a low dose, a little bit of 5%, but as soon as you get up around 8%, 10% up, it goes. So fascinating. And I'm a 59-year-old woman, and so all my friends are like, it's not a matter of if, it's when breast cancer. And I'm like, no, you guys, no. Eat what I'm getting, that burrito with tons of beans and tons of rice and salsa and veggies and greens and hell, I'll put blueberries in there and a salsa and maybe avocado on a crazy day. And feast, don't have like small salad with anchovies and chicken chunks and ranch dressing and bacon bits and or I should say okay, so you with me on this? Chapter 3 of the China study. Next. Okay, this one I want to read with you carefully. Now this, Dr. Kristie Funk, and she is stunning. She is a stunning presenter, and her information is so clear and powerful, and she delivers it so well. So what I'm stepping aside now from the nonprofit and to say, like, the conference where'd she go? The conference that you heard about earlier when she was reciting all the people coming, she's one of my top favorites. So on my 10th conference, having her come again this year is because I'm having like the greatest hits. And she talked about 18 breast cancer crushing foods. And I was like, awesome, you got 50 minutes, have at it. Okay, 18 breast cancer crushing foods. Here we go. So she's cranking along. 22 minutes into this, she's the opening speaker of the day-long event, virtual. And I'm like, Brian, my husband, she's 22 minutes into her talk. She's almost halfway through and she's on number 1 still. She has 17 more to go. We are doomed. Our whole conference is going to be messed up. And you know what she talked about for the first 23 minutes? Soy. What's so interesting is that the breast tissue on women and on men, because men also, about 10% of men can get breast cancer, we have alpha receptors and beta receptors. So I'm going to have these amazing slinkies be the alpha, okay? And these brown coffee cups be the beta, all right? Alpha, beta. And I want you guys to read along with me about what the alpha and beta here. So these 2 receptors of the breast. The alpha receptor responds to estrogen from our hormones, from some foods we eat, and from excess body weight. Just like we have a lot of extra body weight, we can sort of make some extra estrogen, which is fascinating. But what estrogen does, and here's our estrogen molecule. We love it, we love estrogen. Women, you're like, oh, your hair's luscious, and you're curvy, and you're fertile if you want to be, and you identify with being a woman, and then you don't want to have so much estrogen later because estrogen makes things grow. For those of you who've had a baby here, like you're pregnant, your hair is so thick and amazing. Your moles are like the size of pencil erasers, and you're growing this baby, like everything's just growing. It's amazing. And you don't want to have that happen later in life because you don't want things to grow inside you like that anymore. So estrogen landing on this alpha receptor right here. So this is our estrogen. Estrogen. If it lands on the alpha receptor, as we see wherever you're reading, I'm reading this one, estrogen encourages tumors of the breast to develop. That happening. So that is what we want to avoid. So let's look what the beta receptors do. The beta receptors respond to phytoestrogens. Okay, before you read any more, what's a phytoestrogen? What does phyto mean? Bingo! 10 points for the middle section. The phytoestrogens are plant-based estrogens, and they come from things like edamame, tempeh, tofu, soy milk. Those are all from the soybean, but also things like flax, sesame seeds, wheat, barley. Look up a list of phytoestrogens, and you'll find there's so many foods with phytoestrogens out there. And it's amazing. It's not just soy. It's like the whipping post of stuff. It's good stuff. So these are our phytoestrogens. Like this is our soybeans, or this is our barley, or whatever we're eating, sesame seeds, which are also loaded with calcium, by the way. So it's flowing through our bloodstream, and when we eat it, it engages with the beta receptor like this. Can you guys see? Can you camera here? So what happens here, is that this phytoestrogens not only engage with the beta receptors, they umbrella over the alpha. So estrogen cannot engage, it cannot respond, it can't interact with the alpha receptors. It's protective. So she took 23 minutes to explain that soy is protective of the growth of tumors from a very young age. So the longer people have eaten soy and the more soy, the better, which is so not what the research was saying for a while. But she's like, it is completely different. Whenever I have the opportunity to say this, I do. She's on the doctor speaking about it. She's on, I mean, I see her everywhere because she's on my, what's it called? Yeah, she's on my, she's on me. So that is the secret to that, which is just so fascinating that plants are so protective here, and this is a lovely way how they do that. So it feels so good to feel comfortable, especially as a woman. You're so vulnerable, and men with your prostate, kind of telling the same story. Okay, on to the next slide, please. Here we go. Research on the prevention and reversal of heart disease. Dr. Esselstyn. My dad. I'm going to say my dad is shorter than Dr. Esselstyn a million times. So next slide, please. And I want to talk about his research. I had such a front row seat to this, and it has been fascinating and obviously changed all of our lives. He really feels like he has a 5-hour seminar on preventing and reversing heart disease at the Cleveland Clinic. I have to run the IT on it, and I'm like I'm at the control board, like barely awake. It's so long, and I've heard it hundreds of times. So, but what if he had to shrink his talk down to just a minute? He'd say, your endothelial cells, if they're healthy, you got it. You got it. You're heart disease proof. You're heart attack proof. So what is going on here? Here, we talked about earlier, this is actually an artery. And this artery, look at this beautiful silky lining. Look at that. Ooh, that is endothelial cells. They're like Teflon. They're like that yellow brick road we've heard about at Oz. This is the red brick road inside your vessels. And these red brick roads of endothelial cells have a couple properties. Can you go back to that slide, please? And you can follow along here. Endothelial cells can release a gas called nitric oxide. That's what the NO stands for. Nitric oxide is a strong vasodilator. Vaso means the vessel, and dilate means to go, like your pupils, they dilate. Not a lot of things in nature can dilate. Like during a hurricane, can trees go, oh, I gotta get big because the wind's coming? No, they're just like, oh my God. So that's a really big deal to dilate. Again, if you invite me back here to go below the belt, we'll talk about other things that can dilate, okay? I'm going for chapter 2 here with you guys. So the nitric oxide prevents inflammation from occurring in the artery. We're going to talk about that. It keeps the blood's elements, like all the stuff in your blood, from sticking. Have y'all heard of plaque? Have you heard of like plaquey buildups? All that stuff, artery clogging, that's what we're talking about. And so it prevents the formation of these things we want to prevent from occurring. Okay, next slide, please. So, all right, actually you can look at that if you want, but I'm going to act it out. I'm going to act out what he's talking about here. So here's our endothelial cells, and a couple of things can affect our endothelial cells. A couple of things can affect our vessels. Mostly our diet. So a high fat, so we make cholesterol. Remember we make cholesterol? This is now going to be cholesterol. Cholesterol is from our liver. It's fluffy, it's puffy, it's awesome. We need it. We're built of it. I'm made of cholesterol. I'm a woman who's got cholesterol in her hormones, just like all you guys are. So it's fluffy and puffy and we need it. And it flows through our bloodstream totally no problem. Look at this. It doesn't stick at all. No sticky. It just flows right through. Okay? That's how we're designed to work. Some things make the environment sticky. If you've ever heard my father talk about it, he doesn't mince words. But basically, grease, oil, meat, cheese, eggs, and dairy. Have you ever put those on a plate and tried to wash it? Ever put those on your hand and try to rinse it off? You need hot water, soap, friction, strength, and time to get them off. And you have to do it again and again. It takes a while, and then it gets on your pipes, and it's stuck there. Same with our body, but you don't have hot water, soap, friction, and a lot of time to get it out. It just flows 98 degrees all the time. So this bubble wrap here is representing the sticky layer of grease and meat and cheese and eggs and dairy building up. So here's our fluffy, puffy cholesterol flowing through our vessel with this sticky layer of grease and meat and cheese and all this stuff. And what happens is our cholesterol, oh, you guys are in Florida. I can usually say, like, it's like a snowplow. And when envision this. Have you ever had snow here? Once. What happens is, imagine confetti. You push it, it all kinds of starts, once you get something stuck someplace, it all kind of collects there. Can you imagine that? It's a sticky spot, so it collects and collects and collects. And then snow is so white and beautiful, but then it gets dirty and dust and exhaust, and it gets like a bad snow cone hard, and black and oxidized. Same with our cholesterol buildup here. So this is like a pile of just bad snow cone cholesterol buildup. This is such a Florida metaphor. Oh my gosh. and over time it becomes small and dense and hard, and no longer this fluffy puffy stuff. So our cholesterol molecules are small and dense and hard here, and they're oxidized. And remember that beautiful red brick road? These small, dense, hard molecules make their way between those red brick road little bricks, and they go into the subendothelial space. So it's like having a splinter under your nail. Like, it shouldn't be there. What's it doing here? What does your body build up around a splinter under your nail? Pus. Good middle school word, exactly. Pus. It builds up pus, also known as an immune response, white blood cells, macrophage, that stuff builds up around it. And yeah, inflammation builds up around it. So you got this inflamed vessel that's got the plaque with inflammation. It's just like this little fire about to start. And sure enough, this pussy buildup looks like this. So we have this literally, do you see this like pimple, this little mountain here? This is a round space. And you're occupying a good bit of it with that pimple. So it's gotta go around. And every heartbeat, your blood is flowing through your head, your toes, your nose, every heartbeat. And then this cap right here, it takes the hit. So every beat, it gets thinner and thinner and thinner till it's whisper thin, and it ruptures. And when a cap ruptures, the plaque is released from the subendothelial space. It comes out, it ruptures, it tears the vessel, and when a vessel tears, it bleeds, and when you bleed, you like to form a clot. Scab usually has a little oxygen getting it dried up, but you're absolutely right, clot. Your body forms a clot. So this is a clot, there's no blood getting to the head, stroke. Toes, intermittent claudication. It's an awful feeling. No blood to the nose. I have no idea what that feels like or what that's called. So I want to not be a clot. I want to reverse this. Okay, let's reverse this. We reversed our diabetes. We reversed turned cancer on and off. Let's get rid of this, okay? So I'm gonna no longer be a clot, which means this has got to go back down here because that was a big mess. And this has got to get back under there. Okay, but this is at risk for getting more, this is too risky. So we have to get rid of these small, dense, hard molecules and get back to be fluffy and puffy. Okay, so we've got the fluffy, puffy cholesterol on top. Phew, but this is at risk for getting that snowplow, snow cone metaphor, getting hard, small, dense, and hard. So we cannot have this lining be sticky. We have to get rid of the grease, the meat, the cheese, the eggs, the dairy, the oil. And then it's back to being fluffy and puffy. And have we seen this happen? Have we tested this and seen this happen so many times? Yes. And when people say there's no research, I don't want to say, but like, your curiosity is broken, not the research. Like, you haven't looked in the right place. There's so many studies out there that show this, so many. So it is just so inspiring what has happened. I want to talk about, that was LDL. Let's talk about HDL. Hi, you guys know what HDL is? It's a happy, healthy, exactly, yay! Because we go around and we pick up cholesterol and we take it back to the liver because cholesterol is so important to us, we recycle it. We don't need to eat a bit of it. What is the one source of dietary cholesterol? Animals. Thank you, front row, 2 points. Animals, the only source of dietary cholesterol. Yeah, we make our own. If you eat a human, you're gonna eat cholesterol. I mean, it's just true. I had an intern one time, and I was like, Henry, smartest kid in the class, you're my intern for this next few weeks. What's the #1 source of cholesterol? He's like, candy. And I was like, no. Candy arguably doesn't have, like Swedish fish, no cholesterol, I think, whatever. It doesn't, it's not full of animal products. Yes, all that stuff. So anyway, so these happy, healthy HDL molecules are picking up all of this cholesterol and taking it back to the liver to recycle because they want to use it again because we weren't supposed to be eating all this cholesterol. Kind of logically makes sense. On a whole food plant-based diet though, are you making a lot of garbage that has to be picked up? No. So you don't need to make as much little trucks. You don't need to make as many trucks because you don't have that much garbage to pick up. So on a whole food plant-based diet, when your cholesterol goes down, the LDL and the HDL, your doctor's going to want to have some like status with you, be like, yeah, could you eat a little more oil? Let's get that HDL up. And you're going to say, I don't have that much garbage, and I don't need that many garbage trucks. I'm fine. They won't know what you're talking about, but you'll know that you don't need this HDL to mop it up because there's nothing to pick up. They're just bored. And your body does not make anything it doesn't need. Your body's awesome. Okay, where are we now? Next slide, please orient me. My father just feels like it's unconscionable not to give patients the opportunity, the information to even try a whole food plant-based diet. It's just unconscionable. And it sounds just like the Hippocratic Oath to me, which the whole sentence goes, I will use those dietary regimens which will benefit my patient according to my greatest ability and adjustment, and I will do no harm or injustice to them. The smallest part of the whole sentence is what we've come to live by. Do no harm, cover your behind, give them medication. Give them the option of the diet. So speaking of research, this is research that I was a part of with the Cleveland Clinic Department of Pediatrics. We took a population of kids, we have a lot of kids in Cleveland who qualified, obese with high cholesterol as children, sadly. And for 1 month, they ate either a whole food plant-based diet with an agreeable adult or the American Heart Association diet with an agreeable adult. And it was awesome, so fun. I was in charge of the kitchen curriculum and the classroom curriculum for the plant-based side of things. No surprise, this is my brand. And just kids are between 9 and 18 years old. So one of our kids was 18-year-old and she was in college. And she came walking in. 1 month has actually 5 meeting days, so week 0, week 1, week 2, week 3. Week 3, so it really is like the second week in. She comes walking in, she's like, sorry, I'm off camera. I'm so pissed. I am in my favorite jeans. I am so angry, I look great in my jeans. And I'm like, mixed message? She's like, I'm so mad. And our desks are in the shape of a U, and she's in the middle like, I am so mad. I look so great in these jeans. I am so pissed off because I almost died. And I'm so psyched I fit in my jeans. So I'm like, Sarah, what is going on? What is going on? All the little kids are like, Sarah's usually fun. Why is she being weird today? She went to college and she had a special dorm separate from everyone else because she had type 2 diabetes. And she had an alarm and a necklace and a this and a that and a ring and a ding. And she had, because she took months and months of education around her diabetes and how to take care of it and how to manage it and how to use the alarms and how to be able to be at school with this whole alarm system for kids with type 2 diabetes. She went on this diet for 2 weeks and she passed out. Her blood sugar was so low because she was on her meds still. She said, God, I had this for life. This is my disease. This is what I have. This is my malignancy. And she normalized so quickly because she's 18 years old. And she passed out and almost died. Luckily, she was found. And she was so mad. And she lost weight in 2 weeks. And she could fit in her jeans. And she was so psyched. And she was so mad. And she was so psyched. And it was this... I left that day of research, like, you know, you have, it was a Saturday, so I left and I found out the MD in front of the, in charge of the whole study, and I was like, oh my God, Mike, you're not gonna believe what happened. I told him the story, he's like, did you film it? And I'm like, illegal? No, I wish I had, but no, you're the lead MD, what are you talking about? Anyway, it was amazing, and I was presenting about this information one time in Cleveland, and Sarah, she said, please use my name, was in the audience. And she came up afterward and she's like, I'll take questions, Like she still had their same sort of sass. And she had a big old line going, it was great. And anyway, so this study was interesting. And can you go back to the study about the results of the study? The results were that after a month on the American Heart Association diet, the kids had a couple of changes. Their MPO, which is an inflammation marker in their blood, went down. Their mid-arm circumference, their waist circumference, their body weight went down. But on a plant-based diet, we hit some of the markers looking at obesity and cholesterol. Decrease in MPO and CRP, both inflammation markers. Decrease in blood pressure, LDL, total cholesterol, insulin level, body weight, BMI, and mid-arm circumference. It was a really fun study to be part of. But of course, the feedback was, it wasn't big enough, it wasn't long enough. So we did another one. Next slide, please. We had 100 participants, and they were randomized the day of. So like they walk in, they got a red folder for the American Heart Association, they got a yellow folder for the Mediterranean diet, and they got a green folder for the plant-based diet. The kids who got the green folder were so sad. I saw them coming down the hallway, they were like, here's a 10-year-old, like 1/10 of their life is gonna be plant-based. So like, I'm gonna have to eat like my turtle, they're so sad. So I said, hey, come on in and put an emoji on the board. Next slide, please. So the emojis, I don't know if you can see it, but they were like devil mad. So mad. But we got through and we set the study up differently. And the next slide, please. And the results were published in, this isn't the Journal of Pediatrics, this is the Clinical Pediatrics. And it basically showed that with all 3 of these diets, whenever kids ate less processed food and less saturated fat, and along with that goes so much sodium and other stuff, they had an increase in their health because they increased more high fiber foods. And I mean, all the stuff that we know, it's hard to even say it in the proper clinical terms, but like they ate better, they did better. They ate more fiber, they did better. Fiber only comes from plants. They ate more grease and oil and eggs, and then they didn't do so well. Same with the parents. So if you need evidence for stuff, here it is. Thank you. Next slide, please. And basically, this whole movement could be this single flyer. No meat, no dairy, no added oil, minimal salt, minimal sweet. That's how easy it could be. But for some reason, we have movies and movements and plane flights to Florida to talk about it. And I mean, it's great. It's giving us like a purpose, you know, joie de vivre, but it is amazing how that's what it is. All right, I think that's the last slide. Yes, so thank you for letting the Esselstyn Foundation show up today with the Kale Blazers to be with you guys. I'm gonna do a cooking demo right now, hot on the heels of this, because like that's the why, here's the how. If you want to keep staying for that, please do. If you have to skedaddle, I get it. So let's just dive into some food, okay? People think we only eat salad. No, we don't eat a lot of salad. We eat some salad, for sure. But I'm going to start with salad dressing because it sort of tackles that issue of what do you do if you don't eat oil? So this one is so quick and ridiculous. I almost feel embarrassed talking about it. But it's called Jane's 3-2-1. And it's called 3-2-1 because it uses 3 of the most basic ingredients, and probably everybody has them in their life, in their door of their refrigerator. I know you have an archive of stuff in the door of your refrigerator. Some of that stuff doesn't even have a .com address on it, I bet. I know my parents' house has some of that. Ugh. Okay, so let's do the dressing here. This is my favorite dressing, Jane's 3-2-1. And it's great because you just take a balsamic vinegar that you love, and we go to balsamic vinegar stores, which are sometimes olive oil stores. Don't go to the olive oil, obviously. Go to the balsamic vinegars. It's a completely different mammal being thing. The Costco or even the Publix vinegar, it just doesn't work. I hate to say it. It'd be like 3-3-3, not 3-2-1. These vinegars are sweeter, thicker. They're not reduction, but they're infused with flavors. This is a raspberry white. I usually just use a plain balsamic or a lemon, but we're going to try it with raspberry here because that's what they had. Smells amazing. Wow. So we're going to do 3 tablespoons of this, and I'm going to stress some of you guys out because I'm not going to measure, but this is how it goes. 1 tablespoon. Go with 2 tablespoons. 3 tablespoons. Okay. Remember, there's 3 of vinegar, and usually it would be dark because I usually have a dark vinegar. I mean, there are so many. You name a flavor, they have it in vinegar. Sesame, blackberry, chocolate, lemon, raspberry, pear. Oh, there's the olive scene, the olive tap, California balsamics. There's all different kinds of things. Okay, and then after the 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, the good kind. I hate to say it, but like kind of, it's more expensive, but you don't buy anything else. You could just eat that alone on your salad. It's so good. 2 tablespoons of any kind of mustard living in your refrigerator door. So Dijon has a little vinegar in it, so if you're a vinegar person, go with Dijon. This person's Dijon-y. Whoever did my demo prep, thank you. So we're going to do 1 tablespoon, 1, 2, is that 2? We're going to call that 2, okay? We're going to call that 2. Okay, and then I usually mix it up and taste it because I don't often need the 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. I often just don't need it. So I'm going to put like a half a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. Of maple syrup, pardon me. And then I love that they have it in a jar because you get a little arm workout. And when you're making this, the 3-2-1 ratio, let's increase it by 2, you guys. Ready? 3-2-1 becomes 6 or 9 or 9. Shazam, you guys just passed 4th grade math. Okay, such a cool dressing. On it goes, cha-cha-cha. And I believe that we are having some tastings at the end of this of all the things I make. So this, then you would toss it around. I don't use these kind of tongs, but toss, toss, toss. Okay, that's tossed. I go like this. Okay, I'm gonna get really sticky. The next thing we're gonna do is another salad dressing because some people don't like vinegar. Anybody here don't love a vinegar dressing? Some people. Don't be afraid. I saw a little of this. It's all right. It's acidic. My mom is the acid queen. She adds vinegar to everything. She adds lemon, lime, grapefruit, orange to everything. Oh, speaking of adding things, I'm going to add some of these My Tiny Greens. These are locally grown greens. I was so excited to see these. I'm going to add those to my salad there. And this is the, what is this one? It doesn't say what it is. Chard, Swiss chard. This is a Swiss chard version. Such potent little things. This is like eating chemotherapy. Okay. It is. It is. Okay, so now we're going to do a creamier version of a dressing, you know, like not an acidic-based one or a vinegar-based one. And what we're going to have here is oat milk, and this is called sweet fire dressing because it's a little bit sweet and a little bit heat. And we have about, okay, we're going to do the whole just measure as we go thing again. Ready? Half a cup. Anyone? Okay. I was feeling like, oh, we're going over. All right, so now we're going to do a quarter cup of Dijon again. Here we go. All right. Oh, we will never know if that was the full quarter cup. It's hidden. I'm going to assume it's not because some stuff's really here. Okay, so there's that. So we've got oat milk, Dijon. We're going to do now maple syrup. This one, this is a lot more mass, so that was like twice as much. Well, that was like a quarter cup. So now we're going to do some 1 teaspoon cayenne pepper and an eighth a teaspoon cayenne pepper and some smoked paprika, my favorite. Oh, so the spice goes in, and that gives it the heat. That's why it's a sweet fire. So we have the hosting of it by the hosting of the flavor by the oat milk. We've got the body from the mustard. We've got a little bit of sweet from that maple syrup, and then the fire from the cayenne pepper and the smoked paprika. So this, oh, it's such a good smell. So on this goes, I would say this is good for 2 salads. All right, yeah, we got those 2. All right, easy peasy, and you can make things, you know, scale it up. Next thing we're gonna make is my favorite thing to eat kind of all time, which is teriyaki tofu. Teriyaki tofu, and I need a bowl. I can't believe I forgot it, but I need a bowl. I'm just gonna do this, you guys, sorry. I need a bowl, and I'm not gonna be fussy about it. I'm not gonna be fussy about it. Yeah, here we go. So, what we do is we have tofu, and for this kind of a dish, you want to have firm tofu, which is this. It's like a block, firm. It's not silken. It's not soft. This is firm or extra firm. And I'm going to cut it into cubes. And this is one of my favorite things to do because it's so like mathematically fun. You cut it into 3, and then you cut it 2, 3, 4. I'll go for 5. And then you cut it, and it just falls beautifully into the bowl. And that took about, what, 12 seconds? People are like, oh, so much chopping. I'm like, chopping, but so much satisfaction. Come on, that was so cool. Okay, so what we're going to have to make our teriyaki, which is so easy and so fun, is the carrying part of it is tamari. Tamari is a low-sodium soy sauce. Happens to be gluten-free, too, for those of you who are gluten-free. Is this it? No, that's the... Oh, here it is. Okay, so we're going to go with half a cup. What's the ratio you guys got me here? We're going to have half a cup of low-sodium tamari. So tell me when you think I get to half a cup, you guys. It's probably actually about 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons, 4, 5. How many tablespoons? 6? Done? You think? You know what? It looks more dramatic because I'm pouring it. I honestly think I need a little bit more. Half a cup? Okay, let's look at that. Yeah. I have Invisalign in, so I can't taste anything. I can't stand this. Anyway, I would be tasting everything up here and grossing everybody out. So half a cup of that, and then a quarter cup of maple syrup, because you know what teriyaki means? Does anyone here speak Japanese? Teriyaki, you do? You know what teriyaki means? Yes, yeah, and it cooks with luster. So the luster comes from the sweetness. Thank you for validating that. So to cook with it has luster, so it has a sweetness in it. And we don't use sugar, but we use maple syrup, which is, so sweet. Next thing we add is a little bit of umami, and you can use ketchup if you don't have tomato paste. You can get a tomato paste can, a little can. You can open it up and take out your little bit and then put that thing back in the fridge and give yourself botulism in a couple weeks. Or you can get a toothpaste tube of tomato paste and you can use the proper amount. I love this. 3 tablespoons, ready? 1, I can see the night. 2, so I know 3. There you go. And it goes back in for a month or 6 and it says, fine, no botulism involved. And then ginger. Ginger is just the best. Okay, and this is about 2 tablespoons of minced ginger. And then some toasted sesame seeds, which are optional, and I guess we opted not to have. Oh, here they are. Thank you. You guys had them. And though you can put as much as you want. I'm going to put about, I don't know, is it 2 tablespoons? Oh, these smell beautiful. All right, I don't have a spoon, so I'm just going to spatula this around. It is really this easy and just yummy. And my pan is warm. I still have a little bit of salad in here. So you guys, this is 5 things. Can you say it back what it was? I put in, the first thing was tamari. Second thing was, remember the sweet maple syrup. Third thing was, think botulism. Tomato paste, yep. And then ginger and the option of sesame seeds. So it really is the salt, the sweet, the ketchup, umami, and the ginger. It's this whole thing. So when I eat this food, when I eat this dish, it does something that I think we all have certain dishes that do this. I am completely satisfied. I'm not seeking dessert or any other dish. Give me Mexican food and I'm like, okay, where's the chocolate? Where's the Nutella? I'm leaving Brian. But this satisfies all around. So this is, can you guys see the color of this kind of? It's brown, it's covered, it's yummy. So in it goes. And this is gonna take all of just a few seconds to cook. And this pan, by the way, these are caraway pans. And caraway, I have found, it's a ceramic coating. We love these lately. And if you're interested in nonstick pans, the code is Jane10 and you get 10% off. Just to give you guys I'm not trying to sell them, but if you're looking for something to change your world, caraway is something else. All right, so that's just gonna cook there for a hot sec. And what I like to do is I like to put my teriyaki tofu on cooked rice. And I like to have it with veggies. And we have a whole bunch of veggies here today that I just said, let's just do things like some edamame and some cabbage, some napa and cabbage or some purple cabbage. This is one of the best things, all that color that Dr. Greger talks about. And edamame, throw that in there. So these things are just an extraordinary way to add color and fiber to that. So this is gonna cook for like another, 2 minutes. When you know it's done, when the tofu is cooked through and warm, just pop one in your mouth, or all the sauce has sort of no longer sauce, it's all clinging to the tofu, turn it off. It's done cooking, you're gonna start to burn things and the fire alarm is gonna go off. So this is getting very close. Can you guys, you can't really see. Can you smell it? Oh, I'm glad you're getting smell-o-vision. On our YouTubes, I'm always like, oh, I wish you guys could smell this. You smell it? Yummy. Okay, this is very close to being done. And so if you don't have a pan or a stovetop, but you have an oven, that would be peculiar. You have an oven, you can put this on a sheet pan with parchment paper or a caraway pan that's nonstick. and put it in the oven and just bake it, and it gets a little bit, it's a little bit more of a tougher, I like how it gets like a little bit more of a toothsome tofu, but this is a quick way to do it, and I was like, we can do this no problem in the pan, and everyone's gonna love it. All right, so this is pretty much done, and while this is finishing up, I'm gonna put these on just to get them kind of warm and put them on there as well. Okay, I think I have everything I need. It's bowl, bowl, bowl. The big question is, will this induction pan stay on when I take this off to put that there and put that on? No, it won't? I can hardly hear you, Kat. It'll turn back on? It stayed on! We fooled it. Okay, so in this, it's making a funny noise. Okay, so this is gonna go. I think I'm just gonna eat this big bowl of food on the way home tonight, Kat. Just in my lap. I have so many stains on my pants, I can just make more stains. Okay, so this is gonna cook, there's no genius to this. You know, I'm sure you guys have all cooked vegetables before. So that's gonna do that right there. What I wanna do while that's sort of baking right there is I wanna make some tater tots. How about that? You ever heard of tater tots? Yes. Yes. Finally, the front row is waking up again. Okay, so these tater tots are really fun because they're called Texas Armadillo Tater Tots. And I don't know where you can see what I'm doing right now, but these potatoes are the size of like an eyeball. They're not bigger than that. If they're too big, I did not say fingerlings. These are like eyeballs. Okay? And what you're going to do with them, this is like the sesame seed move. This is like the optional move. You don't have to do this. What I want you to do is take a knife and you're going to Hasselback them. Have you ever heard the term Hasselback? You're going to make them into armadillos. See, and our Hasselback is a technique you just cut. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm just cutting a little bit, like cutting about not even halfway through-ish. You can't, can you? It's just so small, you can't see, but the potato's going, because it's been cut. Yeah, Cindy would love these little potatoes, her new joy. Oh, these aren't Hawaiian though, sorry. So you just do this to all these potatoes. No, that one almost got cut all, so I'm not gonna do it to all of them right now, but you cut them all, kind of Hasselbacky, and they did this ahead of time for me. Thank you very much, whoever prepped these. Oh, they're full of water. I'm not gonna pour. Okay, we're gonna coat these potatoes before we bake them. And it's so cool what we coat them with. It's like almost embarrassingly easy. Let me make sure I'm doing it right with you guys. Somebody remind me that we're cooking veggies. Yeah, they're okay. I'm gonna turn them off because they're fine. Okay, hummus. Hummus is your new best friend. It's your new butter. It's your new mayonnaise. It's your new everything. Hummus, you like hummus? We have so much hummus in our fridge all the time. I'm always like, look at all the hummus. It's my plural for hummus. I love it when we have like just tons of containers of hummus. So we put some hummy. Oh, this is inside the bowl. Whoops. We almost had pink tater tots. So this hummus, I think there's one of two. So we're going to have, yes, because we're going to have 8 ounces of hummus, which is roughly the size of one container. If you're going to buy hummus, try to buy it without any added oil. If you have heard anything I've talked tonight about, it was trying to not have extra oil. Tahini is hard to get away from sometimes in hummus, and so we have in Cleveland a couple different providers of hummus. Some do with no tahini and no hummus, and no oil. Some do it with a little bit of tahini and no oil. So we have hummus. To the hummus, don't be shocked. I did not drink out of this. I poured it in my little glass. You add some water. It depends on what the texture of the hummus is. Some hummus is really runny hummus, you know. Some hummus is like stiff. It's got a lot of tahini, maybe oil. So I'm just going to add about 1 tablespoon, 2 to 3 tablespoons or so. I may add more. That's going to be right there. And then, okay, hummus and water, you guys. Is this, okay, it's not mind-boggling yet. Then you add your favorite spice. Cajun seasoning, oregano, curry, turmeric, whatever you want. Here they had tater tot spices. I don't even know what's in here. I'm gonna smell it and try to discover. Onion powder, garlic powder, and oregano. Cha-cha. That's it. Yep, that's what they have there. Onion powder, garlic powder. They even have the bottles to show me, and oregano. So I'm gonna stir all this up, and it's become like a slurry. That is actually a word in the culinary world. So this slurry of batter, I'm gonna add a little more water because I want it to be a little more of a coating. But you add this, just a teeny bit more. So I think I've added about a 1/4 cup to that 8 ounces of hummus and about 2 tablespoons of spices. And to this you add your potatoes. You just add them. These are all wet in here, so I'm carefully transferring them, because otherwise we'd have a really runny batter. And once you stir them up, they get coated, and the coating goes into those little slices you made, those little Hasselback. Again, you don't have to do that, but it's really cool. And so just get them all coated. It looks really good, and it tastes really good. And then you just put them on your tray. My mom loves it because she takes all the batter and she pours it here. Baked hummus, like, she loves it. I'm a little like, this is baked hummus. She's like, no, it tastes so good. I'm like, it tastes like baked hummus. She loves it. Okay, so I can't, it's hard for me to just leave these alone, but because there's so much extra batter. So these ones do not have any cuts on them, but they still will cook and taste great. Whoever's gonna cook this, I don't know who's taking this home. I can put it in my lap with my other stuff. I won't eat them raw. All right, so these go in the oven. This is a little tray with some parchment paper on it. And when they're cooked, they look like this. Do you guys see? Can you? I wish I had a close-up. Ah, we do. Oh, that's me. Okay, no. Hold on. Do you see the little Hasselbacky lines? Yummy, yummy in my tummy. Yeah, so these are delicious, and I believe, again, you guys aren't getting a chance to taste some of these things. Being a caterer, making enough for 200, 300 people, keeping it warm, keeping it crisp, give her a break. If they're cooked all the way through, awesome. Okay, I'm putting my veggies on my tofu and rice. I would stir this all up and I'd feed it to my family. Yummy, yummy. I'm making such a mess up here. Love it. Yeah, it's just like a little stir fry, exactly. Next thing I want to do, a little desserty. This is one of our favorite things. It is a dreamy, creamy chocolate pudding, and I'm sure if you've ever watched our YouTubes, you've seen us do this a million times. So if you want to take a little nap, go ahead. So what we do is we take tofu, and just tofu is very different than that tofu. This is silken. This is firm. If you don't have silken and you don't have firm, you're gonna make cat litter. It's gonna be awful. Trust me. I've done it a couple times. I get so many emails. Your pudding recipe didn't work. And I'm like, did you use silken from tofu? No, they didn't have it at the store. I'm like, well, then don't make it. Just don't make it. Make something else. So what you have to do is you take your silken firm tofu. Some people buy presses. I don't like a tofu press. I don't use it properly. It doesn't work for me, whatever. I use towels. And I put this in the fridge the morning of, when I'm gonna make it at nighttime, or the night before, or for the next day, or even 2 days before. 2 days before, it's amazing. Because what happens is, this box is really moist, squishy tofu. And I can't even describe what kind of cheese it would be like, but it would just be really soft. This then, after being in this towel, is like Philadelphia cream cheese. Look at that. Very thick, very sort of, it's got some texture to it. It's still silken, but all right. So then chew that silken tofu in that container. You add cocoa powder. This is 6 tablespoons. Looks like a half a cup to me, but we'll go with it. Too chocolatey? Oh dear. And now we're gonna add, this is a dessert, so we're gonna add, you know what I like to do first? Is I like to combine, because chocolate, hello! Chocolate is an emulsifier, and it likes to combine with things. What an emulsifier means, it means like, combines with stuff. So I wanted to get that in with the tofu, because sometimes you have like white chunks in the middle of your dark pudding. So I like to get that in. This was really dried out, Debbie, by the way. Way to go. I may have to add some more water back to it. I just made dust. I made chocolate and dust. So we're gonna add our maple syrup. I think this is the maple syrup. Is this vanilla? I think this is the maple syrup. Yes. Goodness.
2 maple syrups.
No, yeah, thank you. I don't think that was enough maple syrup, because I need more moisture. Is this maple syrup? I hope it's not, tamari. Okay. All right. Woo, it's getting there. Do you have vanilla? Yeah, vanilla. So we're gonna add vanilla, and I do want to add, just believe it or not, a wee bit of water, because you did an amazing job of drying this out. Maybe it was like, I usually use a kitchen towel. They used a towel. So that probably pulled all the moisture out. Like, I'm looking for what? Here's the water. Does anybody watch that Ice Age? Who's that squirrel that is so thirsty? Gets dried out. Love him. Okay. This is looking so good and thick. I mean, like, your spoon will stand up in this pudding. I call it not just pudding, but frosting. I'm not sure if you can hear me can you hear me? Okay, I cannot hear myself. But if you can hear me, I love having this be a dessert that you can have it as a pudding, like a mousse, or you can just pull more moisture out of it and it will spread onto a cake and it'll stay there. It's so hard to find that when you don't use oil and you don't use, I want a utensil that's not a knife. Oh well, I have to use a knife. But I want to show you guys, like, look. Can you see? Here, my hair is really white. Can you see? And here, I'll put it in the bowl. Oh, oh my gosh, I got so many utensils. I have everything I need and then some. Pardon me. So here's a cute little bowl. Scoop it out. I mean, look at that. Yum. And we would have this at home with all kinds of fruit, like we have blueberries here. And you put as much fruit as possible because it's so easy to eat a ton of this stuff. And look, we have a sprig of mint. I'm not sure what you guys are going to get out there, but look at, can you go over here? Oh, here. I mean, look at that. Yummy. Where's the little spoon? There's a little spoon. Look at this. The spoon is, I know you guys are convinced it's standing up. That is hard to come by in the plant-based world. Good stuff. Well done. Okay, how's our time?
It's ready for Q&A.
Okay, great. I'm gonna send you all home with an assignment. I was gonna make it's a sauce called Lick the Bowl peanut sauce. So good. I was gonna put it on there. But our time is up. It is 9:30 at night. I've been up since 4. And we have so many exciting things for you guys to try out in the lobby, is that right? And if you want to have a little bit of Q&A for me, I suppose we could do that, but I think you guys mostly just want to get out there and taste this stuff. Because I was preaching to the choir here, it feels like.
Well,
But you got.
We're not ready for that.
Oh, you're not ready for that?
We're not ready for that.
Then I will secretly make the sauce while you guys talk about something else. Can I do that? Yes. Or will that be mugging? Mugging's a bad thing to do. No, I'm not gonna make my sauce. I'm done. I'm done. Thank you. Oh, thank you. I did a cartwheel.
Okay, I think that was amazing. Thank you so much. And we're just so thrilled to have you in our town. So, Jane, thank you. And we do hope you come back, and you've said you will, so we're going to take you up on that. Yes, we definitely want to go below
I
the
know
belt.
the crowd will not
do.
be as full.
So if anyone has jotted down or have a question to ask Jane, please come up and you're able to ask her your question. So we appreciate your being willing to do that. I know with Dr. Greger, we had lots of questions. So anybody at all have a question, or I can come to you. Okay.
Is the maple syrup a B grade?
I did not shop for this. I just asked them to get me
Do you
some.
care what kind of maple syrup it is?
I like to get an amber maple syrup because I don't like to have the overwhelming maple flavor. I like to be able to use it as a secret, quiet little sweetener where I need a little bit here and there. That's all I can say.
Thank you. Was there one over here?
For the tater tots, can you use any kind of potato and just cut them up smaller and make slits, or do they?
Sorry, I'm just beginning to hear his question. Sorry again?
For the tater tots.
Yeah?
Do you have to, you said those small eye-sized ones, but could you use any size potato and just cut them into small areas?
It's just not as fun.
Okay.
Okay, you have one here.
Jane, when you're doing your diabetic camps, do you use a sugar substitute or do you use the maple syrup in your products?
When we're doing our what?
In your camps for diabetics, plant-based camps for diabetics?
I don't have plant-based camps for diabetics. I have plant-based camps for plant-based women warriors or anybody who identifies as a woman. So there's not really specifically.
If
The
you're
what?
cooking for somebody who's a diabetic, would you use the maple syrup or a substitute?
I totally would, because I would be expecting them to be getting off of all the fat that's causing the resistance of the insulin resistance. Because in my care, they would be getting no oil, no grease, no butter, no eggs, no dairy, no meat, like nothing that carried the capacity to make their disease worse. But it would be that whole rationing phase of like onboarding. But that's a great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Jane. Thank you so much for coming out. I'm right here. My question is, what brand of hummus do you have in the fridge?
What brand of what?
Hummus. You were saying hummus?
Oh, humai.
Humai. Okay, humai.
Like the plural of hummus.
Yeah.
Humai. We have, Cleveland has Amir's. Mm-hmm. Amir's, they have a no-fat hummus. So we do that a lot of times with our heart disease patients. Cava, C-A-V-A hummus, Cava, has tahini but no oil. Cedars used to have a no-fat hummus, a no oil, a no tahini. They have kind of stopped that, I think. So just, your dollar is your vote. And if you say like, hey, Publix on Main and 1st Street, I'm making this up. I live here, I walk here, I shop here, and I go elsewhere to buy hummus, which means I buy other things other places. But if you carry the hummus I want, I'll keep buying more things here, and they will listen. But you have to write it, because they don't like to listen to people talking.
Or you can make it, right, Jane?
Oh,
Pretty
oh yeah, you can make it. There's so many different kinds of hummus you can make. And we just did a YouTube shoot. I'm getting carried away. You can make garlic hummus, caramelized onion hummus, beet hummus, sweet potato hummus, edamame hummus, pickled ginger and wasabi hummus. And a friend of mine, this total lifting bro, he's like, I love cocktail sauce hummus. And I was like, that's actually intriguing. He takes his cocktail sauce, which is like tomato sauce, horseradish, with some sugar in it, and puts it in his hummus, and he loves it. We did that on our YouTube recently. So thank you for asking about hummus.
Do you use date syrup instead of maple syrup for certain things?
I didn't catch that.
Date syrup.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Date and maple. Date's actually a little healthier, has more fiber. Thank you for asking that. Thank you, thank you.
We're just wondering for the soy, are you concerned that it may be GMO like most of it is in this country?
We try to get the organic, I'm not sure what they had here tonight, but we get the organic Sanjay stuff. But yeah, that's totally concerning. It's wackadoodle what's out there. It's terrifying.
Hi, Jane. Over here.
Hi.
Hi.
Jay.
Yes. Thank you. Very good. My question is, what are your best comebacks when somebody says, "Where do you get your protein from?" Because I get that all the time. I've got a couple, but I'd love to hear yours.
Okay, we're crossing mics. Sorry. There's so many different comebacks, and it's just kind of what you have energy for. The best one is you can just say like, I don't know. Completely disarming. Like you've won because you don't care. It's no longer a war. Like you put your weapons away and you're like, I don't know. Seems to be working for me, kind of the Doug Lyle approach. And then, especially when like externally someone like they're have more energy, or they're looking more healthy, or they lean down some, or whatever marker has people suddenly like pulling out their PhD. Where do you get your protein? My PhD says you need to get it. No, I don't know. That's a really disarming one. You can just say like the same place that a hippo or a giraffe, or where you can go that mammal route, or you can be like, do you want me to show you on my computer? There's like 18 grams in my whole wheat pasta, and then my sauce, and so I've already met my quota at dinner. Are you still concerned? Like, you can go that route. Like, how concerned are you? Disarming, I don't know, to like, let's look at the computer, to the mammal in the middle. I mean, I'm sure you've tried all those, but yeah, it's.
My favorite is, have you ever seen a gorilla? They're plant-based.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I love how it just is so unnecessarily. I mean, who cares if you get your protein?
Jane, right here. Jane, I said Jane.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi.
Hi. I have a question about the soy that's used in foods as a preservative and the soy that you're buying. What have they done to that soy that is used as, and it is used as a preservative? Am I thinking about that correctly? You know how a lot of foods have soy in them as one of the ingredients, but that soy is not very healthy?
I'm not sure what you're talking about specifically, and I'm not in the food industry. I make cookbooks, and I don't know much about I don't know much about, I mean, soy is an emulsifier. Sometimes it brings things together, like how chocolate does, how eggs do. Like emulsify just means like, hey, you guys, come play with these guys. And it pulls them together. So, but soy isolates and soy, those are not great.
Right, and that's what I'm kind of confused about. But I won't ask you because you make great cookbooks, so I'll research it.
No, I would love to know too.
Okay, I'll send you an email.
Thank you.
I have just a silly question. So I've been plant-based
There's no
for
such thing as a silly question.
Oh, it
I'm a
is,
middle
though.
school sex ed teacher. Come on.
So I've been plant-based for about 5 years
Yeah.
and have noticed that I cannot get warm. I'm always cold. Is that
And you
normal?
live in Florida?
Yeah.
You should have seen me in the car today with Kat. She was like freezing, and I'm taking off all my layers. And are you active?
Well.
The most
Kinda.
amazing heaters inside. Like if you just shake your tail feathers, you'll get warm.
So all three of us here have the same problem. So it's not just me.
Are you guys, I can't tell, are they young? Are those folks young?
Well, no.
Are you fertile?
I'm 44.
44 she is, okay. You know what? If you're really lean, it's hard to stay warm. Obviously, you don't have blankets on. I just say do a little activity and put a layer on.
Okay.
I mean, honestly. And Florida is hard for me to speak to because she's asking about my room that I'm in her house. It's like, oh, our room is usually between 49 and 53, and she's like. Yeah, we love sleeping cold with tons of blankets, but I haven't heard too much about that. Okay, this is spitting on me. I'm done with this. But this is delicious, you guys. Do you see this? I'll quickly read what was in here because there's no questions. I had minced ginger and garlic at first in the pan. They kind of got the flavor going, and then add some water, peanut butter, rice vinegar, tamari, maple syrup, curry powder, and hot sauce. Cha-cha. I'm going to put this on my dinner.
Okay. All right, I think we are done with Q&A for now. Thank you so much. And she will be available. I believe you've agreed to do some book signing and probably will answer a question or two then. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. This has been great.
Let's give Jane a big hand once again.
Oh, enough. Yay!
Did y'all have fun? Is this
so
on?
Fun to be here.
Okay, so if we can have our first slides, we are going to be coming to our conclusion here.
We want you to know that tonight's being taped and it will be on the YouTube page for Chat and Chew More Plants. So when you look at your handout, the little purple QR code on the left side, this side of your paper, that will take you to the recording of this. Above that, though, is Jane Esselstyn's QR code to her cooking shows that she does with her mom. So if you want to check and see these cooked again then, by the way, all of the recipes are coming from these books down here that are going to be the door prizes, so you can always find them there as well. But seeing her cook them is fun too. And if you want to sign up for that March really exciting women's conference for the International Day, that's going to be on her website too, or just do janeesselstyn.com and it'll take you to that so you can register. Okay, the next one is the February session. You know, the blood test that we have to get when we go to the doctor. Well, Dr. Marbus is going to talk with us about that, especially when you start adding more plants to your plate. What are your blood results going to look like? Again, the QR code's there for you. And that's on your handout as well. And then I think the next slide, that's our podcast for Chat and Chew. We do one monthly. If you'd like to listen in on that one, we have all these speakers we've had over the years. Little tidbits that they taught us, we put them into a podcast for you. And then Debbie's going to tell you about Polk Wellness.
Okay, so again, Polk Wellness Professionals was part of this. We hosted this event, and certainly if you are interested in joining Polk Wellness Professionals, we want you to. There is a QR code there that helps you get there. Next slide, please. Also, so what do? You got this fabulous information. You may not be plant-based. So what do you want to do? You want to learn how to transition to a whole food plant-based diet, or do you want to learn how to cook like Jane is cooking up here? So my website is there. The QR code is there. Next slide, please, because that's what I do, by the way. Okay, if you don't want to learn to cook, if you want to go grab something, we have two great sponsors. First of all, Vegetation Cafe and Kitchen, and they are actually serving, or they have prepared our food today that y'all, I know, are going to love. And the next one is going to be the Juice Box, and the Juice Box is here also, and they had a lot of samples outside. And by the way, Jane was talking about hummus, making your own hummus. We have some samples out there as well. Next slide, please. So if you want to join the Kale Blazers, we want you in our group, and we have fun. So out at the PhytoFits whatever I have out there. Vendor table, yes. Out there, there is a sign for joining the community or building healthy communities. So please sign up. Please print clearly so that when I go back to look, that I see what it is. Kathy, what about those door prizes?
Oh, let's do it now. Vicki, are you ready?
What are we going to do first? Let's do prevent and reverse heart disease first. Everybody knows this book. You know Esselstyn's, or you probably wouldn't be here. But Dr. Esselstyn, this is the original book that started the whole thing, got all of us going, got us going in Chat and Chew. Prevent and reverse heart disease. There's also recipes in there. It's a fascinating book. If you haven't read it, you need to read it. So if you'll pull out your flyer, and on the back, somebody has 5 stars on the back of their flyer. Okay. Who has 5 stars on the back of their flyer? Congratulations. Thank you. Perfect. Okay. And then to follow up with that book is the Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease Cookbook. Some of the recipes, well, I think all of the recipes in here are from Jane and Ann. And this is a follow-up to the book. So this is some of the recipes that she used today. Everything in here is going to be good for you. Okay, so turn over your flyer, and who has 4 stars on the back? All right.
We have a winner.
And then if you've heard of Jane's brother, Rip, he has the Plant Strong Foods. I don't know if if you haven't been to his website. His food is good, but I love his tea. He was out of it for a while, and I was way upset. But Jane did the recipes for this book also, but it's the Engine 2 cookbook. So you probably know the routine by now. Look at your flyer. Who has 3 stars on the back of their flyer? Now, I can't ever remember the name of this cookbook because it's about 1.5 miles long, so I'm going to have to read it right off the book. Be a plant-based woman warrior. Live fierce, stay bold, eat delicious. We should have brought Kathy's version of this book because it looks like a porcupine. She's got so many little sticky notes sticking out of it. So turn over your flyer. Who has 2 stars on the back of their flyer? There we go, right back there.
And now we've got some pots to give away, a whole set of pots.
So you heard Jane talking about the caraway pots, and from what I understand, a few years ago, Ann, their mom, bought everybody in the family caraway pots, and they're in love with them. They do love them. And Jane arranged with the Caraway Company to provide the pots for this evening's demonstration. And whoever... No questions asked. Yep, they're just sent them. They donated them. But that was at her request. So 1 star on the back, 1 gold star on the back gets the pans.
All right. Okay. Vicki, thank you for helping with that. Before we move on to the food, we've got 2 more announcements. And one is, will you please give Debbie Zimmerman a big round of applause? She was a leader in this. Woohoo! And Debbie, what else?
No, remember that group I told you about, Florida Trailblazers? They are the ones. So anyway, so we've got food, and we have Jane over here signing books.